Out my takes on all things considerable. Welcome to the program. We're going to talk about stuff in the news. Professor Daniel Phil Gonzalez will be with me. But before we move on to the serious stuff, let me just say I interviewed an author today, Paul Yoon. Do you know Paul Yoon? He's got a new book out called Etna by Paul Yoon, Yoon. Paul Yoon. He's a Korean American, and he writes about dogs. He writes about a dog world. It's a beautifully written book. He writes from a dog perspective, but it's not like, Lassie, Rintin. The dog is the narrator. It's not a cartoon thing. It's a literary piece of art. Etna. I'll look for it coming up in August. I'll talk about it more. Paul Yoon is the author. Korean American, teaches on the East Coast at Williams College, and many of you who read The New Yorker may be familiar with that. I'll have the interview on one of the podcasts I do, and that'll be coming up next week. The book is coming up next week. And if you're looking for a summer read, something that'll be different, something that'll be entertaining. I talked to Paul Yoon. He said, I wrote about dogs because I love my dog, and I was tired of human beings and all the stuff they were doing. So he started writing Etna, which is about a dog who, after war, he was a war dog, is going back to the coast, finding home. So that's coming up next week. The book is available wherever books are sold. The interviews and the publicity will start. But I talked to him, nice guy, Asian American guy in his 40s, and with an interesting story and an interesting way to tell a story about really all of humanity, all species, right? Because the dog it's the world from a dog's perspective. The dog world, the human world, it's combined into one. Etna, Etna, is the name of the book by Paul Yoon. Look for it next week. All right. I'm back from Winnipeg. I told you enough about Winnipeg. It's going to be triple digits next week in California, where I am. It's going to make the 80s and 90s in Winnipeg look absolutely inviting and cool next week. But that's what we have to look forward to here, where I am in California. Let's just get to the news. There's one story that came up. I didn't realize. I've been following this story since the July 4th weekend. It's a story of Nolan Wells, who is an African-American high school or college, was he? I think it was high school still, football player. And he was considered a great athlete. He had friends. He was with his white friends. He went out on a boat, never came back. The parents thought something was suspicious. Finally, an autopsy has been completed, but the results have not been released. We have a top-notch attorney, Ben Crum, who's looking at this case. He's enlisting the help of the National Urban League. And what got me when I saw Crump with the National Urban League yesterday is the lead story yesterday was that Wells's mother, who is part Filipino, has been harassed in the media for her grieving and harassed just for being who she is, bringing this case up. And she's Asian American, Filipino American in Mississippi, where there are about 4,000 Filipinos. It used to be the Filipinos, Vietnamese, and the South Asians are the group that, they're the most popular Asian groups in Mississippi. It used to be the Chinese Americans, because they started grocery stores up and down the state on the highways there, and they have expanded, moved to bigger cities, and now it's the Filipinos, Vietnamese, and South Asians. I know it's confirmed by the National Federation of Filipino American Associations that the mother of Nolan Wells is, in fact, Filipina, part Filipina and part Black. And I was just seeing little bits throughout the net saying, the Blacks are saying they want justice for Nolan Wells. where are the Asian Americans who should be demanding justice for Nolan Wells? And so I turned to my friend, the College of Ethnic Studies, San Francisco State University, Asian American Studies Professor Emeritus, Daniel Phil Gonzalez. Hi, Dan.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So what do you think about this Nolan Wells case? I mean, it's been in the sort of on the fringe of the public eye ever since it happened on the 4th of July weekend. It's, since then they've got the autopsy, and I guess the real investigation will be starting. But the question, the mother is, and Nolan Wells is part Asian, part Filipino American. There's outrage among African American groups. Where's the outrage among Asian Americans, you think?
It's really easy. It's absent largely because the victim and the victim's mom aren't Asian enough. Okay, first of all, she's part Asian. Secondly, he looks black. Her husband looks black, and they're not Asian enough.
Yeah,
that's the way these kinds of racial identity things go. If it's a fun thing and you get somebody that looks mostly Latina, like Olivia Rodriguez or somebody like that,
yeah,
we're all
Rodrigo.
We're all too eager to claim. Okay, when it's her and she's half black, you don't see Filipinos all that eager to claim.
Yeah,
there is a racial hierarchy, even among obviously so-called racial minorities, in this society, and Filipinos are not without racial. I don't want to say racism outright, but racial prejudice.
Yeah. Well, what does it say about Filipino prejudice toward African Americans? Or in general, Asian American prejudice toward African Americans, because it's not just Filipinos who would have this reaction.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's age old. When part of it is that it's the white thing to do.
Yeah,
it's the white thing to do. And when you have a large immigrant population, they've been exposed to white racism and the media treatment, especially popular media treatment of African Americans and of Africans in general. So there's always that kind of tendency, even in the Philippines, right?
Right.
If you're a darker person, you're not seen as being handsome or beautiful.
Yeah,
it's simple.
Yeah. Well,
how about the minorities, the ethnic minorities in the Philippines that have noticeably African features?
Right.
Not only darker skin, but curlier hair. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's the cultural groups that are associated with South Asia and with Africa. There are the Muslims, right? How are all these people treated in the Philippines by Filipinos?
Yeah. Well, we know that in the Philippines, there is always this move to, I mean, they sell skin whitening creams.
First thing you see on when you enter a 7-Eleven or any of the fast food places, there's the immediate thing that you see and on the counters. On one side, it's food, and on the other side is cosmetics. And the first thing you see on the cosmetics aisle is skin lightening creams.
Yeah. So it's sort of, where does this come from psychologically? It comes from
colonialism. Is a great part.
Yeah.
That reinforced what I believe is already an indigenous class differentiation. Okay.
Yeah.
So lighter people didn't work the fields, weren't out fishing on the ocean. Darker skinned people were the farmers and the people working the fields, working as fishermen, fisher folk, merchant marine, whatever. And even though merchant marine tend to make a lot of good money, and they send remunerations that are part of the reason that the Philippines hasn't had wholesale revolution. is
Yeah.
because they get remunerative help
Yeah.
from outside the Philippines, from overseas Filipino workers. And so there it is. It's a class thing. It's also a class thing. Goes all the way back to pre-Hispanic, pre-colonial times. It's there.
Yeah. I was looking at Christine Wansley, who's the mother of Nolan Wells. Ever since she was interviewed on the week of the death of her son Nolan Wells, she was the most articulate. Her
She is. She
her
is very,
yeah
very much so.
her husband, African American, was kind of deferred to her. She was the most articulate, who said things like, well, this is Mississippi and these kind of things happen. Of course, we're suspicious, we want an investigation. The blacks, who heard that message, Ben Crump, the attorney, he answered the call.
Yeah,
Filipino
well,
friend,
and the great Rev is also supporting them.
Sharpton, yeah. But as far as Asian Americans go, NAFA, the National Association of Filipino American Federations, they identified, Wansley is part Filipino, and said that there should be a sense of solidarity. But you haven't, from the very first week that this story broke, you have not seen that kind of solidarity. And the absence of that solidarity, does that diminish the either the chances of getting justice? Or it would be better if the Asian American community and the Filipino American community rose up in solidarity with the African Americans. But in lieu of that, what are the chances of justice?
Well, I think there's still some good chances of justice. We'll have to see. They're holding on to the autopsy report.
Right.
My understanding is
Yeah.
that an autopsy has been completed,
Yeah.
but they're holding on to that, and the rationale is that it's evidence that they want to present to the grand jury, and of course that means a grand jury could sanction opening up an official investigation. So this process has to occur. I don't think it's unnecessary stalling. I think the unnecessary stalling started right at the beginning, when there wasn't any investigation, and the police said immediately. I think within less than 48 hours, if not less than 24 hours, they said there's no suspicion of foul play.
Right. That was one of the first things I heard too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that
so
was extremely premature, and that in and of itself raised my suspicions.
right. Well, Christine Wansley was saying, look, we're in Mississippi. The history would suggest that we look at this carefully and not rule out race or not rule out violence or some kind of animus. There's a reward, 100,000 for information leading to an arrest and conviction. And I guess, as you said, we have to go through this process of the autopsy before there is really the kind of investigation needed to determine what actually happened to Nolan Wells.
Yeah. I did not expect, nor do I expect even at this point, that anyone else besides the new youthful leadership of NAFA, right?
Mhm.
It's a new generation that's taken over NAFA. They look like they're in their 30s.
Yeah.
And they definitely do identify with people of mixed race. It's a common thing for the younger generations. It's very common for people bi-national marriages were a thing that were becoming more and more common even before our generation. But in our generation, it started to grow, and then in our children's generation, it is a given that there's a lot of interracial intermarriage.
Although, even in our generation and a little older, it wasn't. It was accepted and not accepted at the same time, right?
It was still there. All I said was that it's growing. It was growing.
Yeah, it was growing.
But it doesn't mean that people accepted it.
Yeah, because Filipino African American relations were kind of, I want to say they were the norm, but when there's anti-miscegenation, that prevented blacks and whites from Filipinos. Uh, you look around and what are the avenues of romance and relationships and where people lived. Filipinos lived in black areas,
Where
and
they
you
lived
had
and where they worked, yes.
yeah. So you had Filipino African American relations, and I know of at least um, you know three relatives of mine who are married to African Americans.
Yeah, me
I had
too.
an uncle. I had an Uncle Tony. Uncle Tony had my Aunt Hazel, and my Aunt Hazel would always pinch my cheek and give me a hug. I loved my Aunt Hazel, and then I just know also that among other people in our community, prominent members, and I know in Oakland, I know of at least three African American Filipino families that are, fairly prominent, and it's not considered so outrageous. It's normalized. It's
Yeah.
somewhat
There's
normalized.
a Filipino black family, the Giles family.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a
the Giles,
big
yeah,
family, and at least three of the brothers were involved in playing music. They had their own
yeah,
band for a while,
yeah,
and I hung out with those folks, and
yeah.
there were entrepreneurs
Hmm.
in the 60s, Asian entrepreneurs, and among the Filipino entrepreneurs, there were people who threw dances,
Yeah.
and those dances were, uh, there was white culture, right, and
Hmm.
there was black culture, and the dances that the Filipino entrepreneurs threw appealed to the black side. And
Yeah.
so
It's
you
a
got a lot of blacks and Latinos attending the same dances that Filipinos were attending in the city and all over the Bay Area.
yeah.
So there was a lot of interaction. Also,
People. Yeah.
Latin
Well, wait.
music, Latin
Before,
music was coming up, and the clubs were hopping, and
right.
those were the clubs where I could tell you right now the dancing was a hell of a lot better.
Well, I just wanted to say that yeah, R&B and soul music wasn't just an African American thing. It was car
Very much.
culture.
And then there was the advent of Detroit, man, and Motown, and
Yeah.
so
Right.
it became a broad thing with a great deal of appeal. James Brown would have three or four hits in the top 10 at the same time that the Beach Boys and the Beatles would
Yeah.
have hits in the top 10.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's the
Well,
way
yeah.
things were going.
Because Papa had a brand new bag. Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, but I mean, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. It was almost like you see the pop world kind of expanding,
Yeah.
and you see, in San Francisco there was K Soul and KDIA. They were the black stations, the soul stations, and then you saw the pop top 40 stations, KYA, KFRC,
Yep.
and very rarely did you see crossover.
Right.
You saw it. James Brown. You
Sure.
saw it with um,
Like I said, with Motown,
yeah,
when Motown
Motown,
started coming up,
Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, right?
sure,
I
sure.
mean, there was
The
crossover.
Ronettes.
The Ronettes, yeah, and it's surprising though that even though the culture has always had that crossover, the culture has always had that kind of thing going, but it never really solved racism. It never really. I mean, it
No.
almost kind of we brought people together, but
Dick
it didn't.
Clark had to leave Philadelphia because he let people of color dance on the same floor on
Yeah.
national television on ABC. He had to leave Philadelphia. Okay. And where did he come?
L.A.
No,
No,
San
where
Francisco.
did he
San
come to San
Francisco.
Francisco first?
Yes, hell yes.
I
There
didn't
were
know that.
people, I had
I thought he
friends.
was.
Hey man, no, wrong again, historian.
Hey,
Okay.
you know everything.
Come on now.
Yeah, old man.
Come
you
on
know
now.
everything.
I don't know
Yeah.
everything. I know stuff that has to do with what happens with local culture. And,
All right.
and
So,
there were people in my class, my class from St. Bridget's, right? A
Mm.
Catholic school, right?
Mm.
When they got into high school, they went to the whole thing was, can you be on 3 dance party shows on the same day?
wait a minute. What dance party shows were in San Francisco at the time? Name 'em.
Okay, CBS had KPIX had their own dance party.
Mhm.
Okay, ABC had Dick Clark, American Bandstand, and KTVU had a dance party show, all
Well,
at the same time.
led
All
by
at the same time on afternoons, man.
led by Captain Satellite,
No,
or is it
hell
a different
no.
guy?
I can't
Different
remember
guy.
the guy's name, but yeah, he
Sir
was a
Sedley.
DJ.
Sir
He
Sedley.
was a DJ that became a TVJ, and
Yeah.
and so they had for several years, at least 3 or 4 years, there
Wow.
were 3 dance shows at the same time. And
I
I think about 2 or 3 years, Dick Clark moved to LA.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how young I am. I don't even remember that. I remember everything on TV at the time, like Romper Room and Sir Sedley and Marshall J and all that, but not the dance shows. So I was still, looking for Barney, looking for
Right on.
for
Anyway, let's move on, man. So
yeah,
anyway, there's a lot of interaction, interracial interaction. It doesn't mean again acceptance, okay? And you also have continuing immigration for the Asian groups. Yeah, you have continuing immigration, a little slower than it was
mm,
in the 70s and 80s, but you have continuing immigration from the Philippines, and they still have their own attitude,
right.
And in the Philippines, the musical taste tends to move towards indie pop and pop rock.
So it was never. I mean, people never fully assimilated as immigration recycled new people to
That's
come
right.
to the Bay Area, and
That's
so
right.
we never quite formed that perfect
Yeah, and
union.
then there's friction. There's
Yeah,
friction especially in schools.
yeah,
You know, a lot of times people form defense groups, and when there's a little bit of assertion of a problem here or there, sometimes a black dude hits on a Pinay, and the Pinay doesn't appreciate it. Not necessarily because the guy's black, but because she just felt not treated well. That she
yeah.
was disrespected, and that can turn really bad, real fast, right?
Well, what we're having now with the Wells case in Mississippi, people are attacking Christine Wansley, the mother,
Sure.
on social media. They're going after her professionally in terms of, for recommendations or references on her professional webpage. They're like giving her 1 star. Like really. I mean, those are the ways that trolls get back at people
Yeah.
they don't like,
Yes.
and it's effective.
But what's the motivation though? What are they
Yeah.
saying they don't like about her? Is that she's playing this up too much and not accepting the fact that
Right.
there was no foul play or whatever? There's not been an investigation. So why did they?
Yeah.
What's the basis of their criticism?
Yeah, a combination, but I think it's that. And I think also people started saying, well, could it be possibly also that she's, Asian or she's Filipino and they don't like that, as well as, the fact that she's, mixed race, black and Filipino. So this is how because I've been following this story. I had a feeling that maybe she could have been mixed, but I didn't know. Confirmed by NAFA, and then 3 weeks ago, but I hadn't seen that aspect reported in the mainstream. People are picking that up now, and I see comments about, hey, wouldn't it be better, or wouldn't we be better if the Asian Americans joined in terms of solidarity here? Or is that just a fantasy?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah,
It'd be
it would
better.
be. I mean, when God, 1982 murder of Chinese American in Detroit.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, Vincent Chin.
And so, in the Chin case, guess who came forward with great strength, right, to support, right, the actions to be taken against the murderers, right? It was
Probably.
the black members
Yeah.
of the UAW.
Yeah.
Black members of the UAW. So
Yeah.
you got 2 white union guys, right, that had lost their jobs because of the failure of American automakers to meet the competition from Japan, particularly at the time. And the UAW came forward under black leadership, and black people supported the Vincent Chin case, supported his mom in her actions. But you don't see that. You don't see that kind of reciprocity coming from Asian American groups.
Yeah.
The closest you get is typically two groups. The oldest was the Japanese Americans.
Mm.
They're usually the first to come forward in support of African Americans, during the civil rights movement, all the way up through the period of Black Power development and all that. And it's still true today. Okay.
Yeah.
The next group is South Asians.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, those are the groups that in Mississippi. It's not the Japanese American. It's the Vietnamese, the South Asian Indians, and the Filipinos. They're the largest. There's like 40,000 in Mississippi. But nationally, this should be a bigger story. It certainly played in the mainstream as a big story, Nolan Wells. But I think only this week, because the mother was targeted by trolls, have we begun to see more people pay attention to the fact that, hey, Nolan Wells was part Asian American. And I hope as the autopsy gets released, we'll see more of a push in terms of an investigation toward what happened. But ultimately, we have to be prepared that they're going to say it was just an accident.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
So that's the reality. All right. Some other stories in the news. Visually, we have the story in Spain where you have Moroccans crossing the border. And it's kind of interesting to see all the video because it shows how much people want to get to a better life. It shows the power of immigration. But now I know you disagree with me, but what do you, when you see the story, the Moroccans, just, jamming the border.
They're Moroccan nationals.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that doesn't mean they're African.
Well, North African. No.
Most of them are actual immigrants who immigrated from South and Central America.
Okay. Well, all right, but
so yeah. Well, and what do they speak as a primary language? They speak their national form of Spanish. That explains a lot of why they're in North Africa and why. There's also there's a small Spanish territory in the area of Morocco, and that's where a lot of the people went. And so technically,
ethnically, I buy that.
Ethnically and technically, right? They are in a place where they should easily be able to migrate to Spain. Secondly, it's the Supreme Court of Spain that loosened up on the law that allows the immigrants to come into Spain. So it may not be a popular thing from the political point of view, but it happens to be something that the Supreme Court took what we can call a liberal position on.
Yeah, well, it makes sense that these Moroccans who are from Central or South America, although it's usually just reported as African migrants from North Africa in general.
And what do you think that there's a motivation in that kind of reporting?
Well, it does show the bias in the news. I was reading the top line, and the top line, shows that it's African. It's also possibly anti-black, right?
It's racist.
Yeah.
Okay. Real simple. It's the
vote. Yeah. This is and the international reports were reported as African migrants from Morocco. They don't even get to Morocco until maybe the second or third sentence. But
there it is.
These peoples. But the thing that gets me, regardless of where they're from, there are people who are yearning for a better life, and they should be able to flow free. I mean, this goes back to the idea of free trade, when free trade was a thing. Free trade, free immigration. It used to be that conservatives used to be all for the free movement of goods, services, and people. And then this free movement. Now everyone's protectionist. Borders are locked down. But you see the pictures.
Well,
They
there's a
can't do anything
really
about it
okay.
in Spain.
If you look at the pattern all throughout history, people are easier on immigration by people who are of a different standard than the local majority, right? When the economies are good, they tolerate that, okay?
Yeah.
When the economies are not good for a majority of people in the existing population, right? Then they tend to be very antagonistic towards new immigrants. That's
Yeah.
it, especially if they are racially different.
Yeah, I wonder what Americans who want to close borders, who want immigrants out, how they're seeing, this what's happening in Spain. They're probably seeing it as, oh, this is a global problem. Damn those
Yeah,
immigrants.
yeah.
Gotta shut down the borders. Shut down the borders.
And once again, Trump will mention it. He
Yeah.
does that even in their face when he was in Europe twice, right? This
Yeah.
year, what did he say? Yeah, you guys got a really serious problem. I mean,
Right.
you don't
Yeah.
want to talk about it, but you got a terrible problem. He wants to show the world that they're worse than we are.
Well, and he can say that now in terms of immigration, in terms of climate change and the fires, and oh, Europe, who wants to go to Europe?
Don't forget Canada.
I was supposed to go to Europe in August. Some friends of ours, they kept their tickets. They're going. I'm glad I'm not going to Europe right now. Right.
You don't want to be an ugly American, right?
Well, not just an ugly American, but there's the oil prices and fuel prices and
the economic,
economically, it's not a good time to go to Europe. Anyway, all right, so let's move on to the domestic story that everyone's talking about, or if you're following the news, the Todd Blanche's AG getting blocked by Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, I guess, likes when it comes down to
he didn't block it. He didn't withdrawing it. He's withdrawing it.
I'm just saying, when it comes to, do I like Todd Blanche more, or do I like this immunity against any kind of tax fraud and the creation of my slush fund? The two top things. What do I like more? Todd Blanche? Hell no. I want the slush fund. I want the tax fraud immunity. That's what I want. Todd Blanche, you can keep me in the sycophant at your own peril. You didn't learn.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth, man. It's your 401k. It's exploding, man. Yeah. I mean, no, that market is still going up. I mean, when he says that stuff, the market has 1,000-point drop,
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. If you're Todd Blanche, do you feel like the biggest sucker in the world if you're Todd Blanche right now? I mean, he's not going to be AG, but he might be acting AG until, Trump decides, that he's out. Or he may not be acting. Well, he could be acting AG, but he may not be AG if the Republicans lose the midterms and lose control of the House. So how do you think Todd Blanche feels? Do you think he feels like a big sucker?
Well, yeah, but I
think he likes it.
He can't tell. He's a volunteer. No, I don't think he likes it. I don't think he understood how bad he was going to look. I don't think Clayton understood how bad he was going to look. Okay.
Hey,
Pulte is too stupid to care. Pulte doesn't even care if he looks bad. He just wants to do the man's business. Okay.
Yeah, because Pulte is just a house builder. Buy my lousy homes, and I'm here playing in a world I don't belong in, and I can do the business of the most powerful man in the world. And that's what gives Pulte the ego lift. But all these other guys,
he wants to be better than a lapdog. He wants to be active, right? He wants to be active. So he wants to be a house dog. Okay, he really wants to. He wants to be a house dog, not just a lapdog. He wants to mark his territory. The way he marks his territory is by firing more people that are part of the national security system that we have in this society. We got attacked. They attacked our cyber attack on our water supply system, right? Okay, now I have never said live on this show what I have said in the past in my own classes for years, and that is, if I was going to attack the United States, I would attack their health system, right? And that means their water supply, their food supply, right? And their economic system through cyber attacks. That's the way I would do it. That's the way I would do it.
It doesn't take a like some kind of a genius to figure out that those are the vulnerabilities that the United States has.
Well, how did we stop Iran? Remember the centrifuge action? Remember when I think it was not under Clinton, it was either under Bush or Obama, but the Iranians were close to developing enough heavy water, right, that they could actually use some of the improved uranium, right, to develop a bomb. And so what did they do? They attacked their centrifuge system, okay, with a cyber attack. Okay, and that wiped out wiped out a couple of hundred centrifuges. And I said, well, that was kind of easy, you know?
Yeah, well, and then, a lot of it is, I mean, especially now after Doge makes cuts on all the security. I mean, we're already vulnerable, I guess is the point, but more vulnerable now under Trump. And I don't know.
You know how to create. Okay, instead, if you were Russia, China, or Iran, okay, and you really wanted to attack, or even Cuba, and you really wanted to attack the United States, instead of attacking citizen infrastructure, right, the way that it's suggested by Minnesota, and actually FBI, CISA investigation said it's probably the Iranians, okay? So, and Trump said, nah, it's the governor, it's Waltz, right? He did it. He did what? He ambushed his own water supply in favor of whom? Is he an Iranian agent? What the hell are you talking about, man?
That's the kind of
let the man talk. Emil, let the man talk. Let him keep talking, please, Mr. Trump. Just open your mouth every time you get a chance.
he does. He said that it's too bad about Todd Blanche, and
he's a great guy.
Yeah. Here's the thing that gets me. People still don't know the dynamics of all this, because every time you explain the slush fund and the tax fraud immunity deal that he got for himself and his family, you got to remember that Trump sued his own administration, and by suing his own administration, they were able to force a settlement, and that settlement resulted in the slush fund
with himself.
So he settled with himself. This is a form of self-dealing. This makes masturbation seem so pedestrian. Masturbation doesn't hold a candle to this. I can get a slush fund. I can get tax fraud immunity. Yeah, all I got to do is keep rubbing myself. That's political masturbation. That is political masturbation.
I wish it was only masturbation, man. The guy's making money, and he's making money. He's taking our money. He's taking American public.
He's
all
using our
Filipinos and Vietnamese who voted for Trump, man.
Right.
Hey,
he's
taking your money. He's taking your money, man.
He's ejaculating our semen. Okay, I'll grant you that. That's what he's doing. I'm just saying that people have to understand the whole. How did he get the slush fund that he now doesn't want to give up? How did he get the tax fraud immunity that he doesn't want to give up? He got it because he sued himself, and then he settled with himself. And Todd Blanche said, yeah, whatever you want, boss. Whatever you want, boss. I'm going to sign it because I'm going to be AG.
And what were the two big things that this judge said? He said, one, there wasn't even any real... There wasn't any kind of real case here.
Yeah.
There's no legitimate cause of action. There's no real case here, right?
Yeah.
And so, and you haven't even shown me any evidence at all, right, of a harm.
Dan,
what is this doing in here?
The prescription. He set out the prescription. I sue you. Settle with myself. I sue myself. Settle with myself. Walk away with your money. That's the way to do
this
it.
is what happens when you spend too much time in front of a mirror. That's it's
That's the
just
mirror.
his mirror has now become a reflection of his reality. Okay, that's the problem. And he's
Well,
got one
yeah.
of those funhouse mirrors that makes you look skinny. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, he's stuck in this liar's loop. He can't get out of the liar's loop. It's a
There it is.
paradox, of course, but he's stuck in it, and it's sad because America looks at this, and how many people do you really think can even explain the whole thing about the settlement and about why Donald Trump wants the slush fund? Because there's got to be some people who say, "Oh, we want him to have his slush fund to pay off those January 6th protesters, right? Oh,
Yeah.
he deserves it, tax fraud immunity because he didn't commit tax fraud yet. I mean, we want to protect him."
Yeah, what do you mean he didn't commit tax fraud? He did commit tax fraud.
I'm
He
just
was
saying,
busted in New York.
he's
got
our
busted in
president.
New York.
He's our president. He
State
deserves
law.
protection. He deserves the protection. There's got to be more than 40% of the American public who says that. Oh, he deserves the protection.
Well, then what are we saying? I am agreeing with you that 40% of the American public is living in a fool's fantasy. So,
Well, that's true. I mean, that's kind of the frustrating part. Hey,
why do they want to live in a fool's fantasy? Why are they so committed?
This is Donald Trump's gift. He gets us to to do it to ourselves, to work against our own self-interest, in his self-interest.
Yeah, and then they say, "Show me how I'm working about voting my own self-interest. Show me how I'm doing it." Well, okay.
Okay, this is how you're doing it.
Okay, so you enjoy paying all this. I didn't vote for that. That's not what I wanted. Well, that's what you got. That's not what you got. Okay.
Yeah, I just
if you don't own a 401k, you don't have enough investment in the stock market to think that everything's good. Okay. He's making exactly the same mistake that Biden did. Right?
Yeah. Hey, we're gonna go back. I mean, this is not over. I mean, he's gonna be Todd Blanche is going to be acting AG, and it's going to be a victory for Trump until maybe the midterms when he loses. But this week, we also saw Fauci. Man, they were going after him, and he took the fifth. And also we had senators using the F-bomb, cursing at Fauci, which, total lack of decorum.
That was the first time a junior senator too, Moreno.
Bernie Moreno from Ohio. Yeah.
Didn't he beat Brown, right? Or he beat
Sherrod Brown. He beat Sherrod Brown. And I just thought it was just way off the mark for no good reason.
You know what? He acted like a real gangster. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy has some connections.
Well, I don't know, but it was sort of like, look, Donald Trump has set the level for decorum to a new low in politics. There's no decorum. Say the F-bomb. Say whatever you want. Be stupid if you want. It's okay. And that's where we're at.
But see, being stupid is for everybody else. Because do you think that Donald Trump ever in a moment thinks that he made a stupid mistake?
Oh no,
that he made a mistake at all. Nah.
Donald Trump never. No, he's
being
never
stupid
lost.
Is about other people. That's not about.
He's never lost. He's
Yeah.
never lost a thing. He's never lost anything. You know that. He's perfect. Donald Trump is perfect. And he's in perfect health, eating all those burgers. Perfect. Obese? No, he's not obese.
Yeah, he's 6'2" and 220.
Yeah. And he wants that thin blood. He's going to take that aspirin because he wants that thin blood. No, I just thought, Fauci is. I don't think Fauci's a saint. I covered him a little bit when he came to San Francisco and he did the AIDS thing, and I've been following him. I think that Fauci generally has been a good public servant with some lapses. The big lapse was on the Wuhan labs and the gain of function experiments that America funded that he tried to cover up. Now he kept it limited to that. And, you could have, tapped him on the wrist and you could have said, hey, bad Fauci, but this was a piling on of Fauci, which I thought was a little unfair. And I don't know what it proved, except that MAGA folks hate Fauci.
Yeah,
Still.
well, who stopped uh, uh, the sending of experts to the Wuhan lab from the United States? Who stopped that?
Who stopped the? I believe it was what was it? One of the administrations? Was it the?
Well, it was
Trump?
under. It was under Biden. No,
Was
wait.
it Biden?
It was under.
I just
I
know
guess
that they were funding the experiments, and
Yeah.
then they try to cover
You
it
know
up.
what? I think it was still under Trump. It was
Yeah.
still under Trump
Yeah,
when they wanted to send people over to the Wuhan lab, because
Yeah.
that pressure from people, including our own intelligence operations, who said that it could have jumped from Wuhan. They weren't saying that it was intentional or that it was sent here, and Trump was pushing that it was sent. Right?
yeah. Well, the whole thing about gain of function let's make it as bad as it can to see what it can do, and
Right.
then it kind of backfired, and it's oh shoot, it's
It got loose.
and-
It
yeah,
got
and
loose.
that gain of function. Washington Post investigative story exposed it all and didn't get the credit, and there was a lot of cover up on the part of Fauci and NIH, and that deserved more time
Yeah.
this week, and it got hardly any. All right, so let's go to something light. FIFA wants to get the
Oh, yeah.
they want to get
Oh, yeah.
private equity into the World Cup.
Yeah,
And
it could bring $20 billion, to
I-
the sport. It
I
could
think-
bring $20 billion.
this is the Trump greed effect in action, capitalist greed, to the nth degree. What everything private equity gets into is not necessarily good for society. Good for private equity, bad for society, and that's why all the other soccer organizations are against what FIFA is trying to do. I just think, man.
Attending live games in almost any sport except like women's sports, right? Attending live games is now becoming a class problem.
Oh,
because it costs so freaking much.
yeah.
Do I want to pay money for the good seats at in Santa Clara for Niner games, right? And the answer is no. Okay, if they're running really hot and people keep not get the people stay healthy, right? I might go, but what am I going to do? Season ticket? Hell no.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've had season tickets before. Season tickets to the Raiders when they were good. Season ticket never to the Niners, but to the Raiders, because I was always a Raider fan until the Raiders sort of went off the deep end. I had never really wanted season tickets to the Warriors, but had season tickets to the Giants for several years. They didn't cost an arm and a leg, but now they are costing an arm because they want the money. The players are expensive, and now it used to get down to, well, I could buy a big screen TV and watch the game in my home instead of buying season tickets, but it's more important to see it live. And now it's like I could buy 3 big flat screen TVs, the latest and greatest, instead of buying season tickets. And I have no desire to be in that crowd. It, like you said, except for maybe WNBA, women's sports.
Yep.
Although women's sports, I mean, I love watching women's sports, soccer, basketball. But they're wrecking college football too now. College football is getting, they're paying the players. So,
well, and that was the question, right? There was a question that, do you really want to monetize college football because it's going to turn like the pros?
Yeah.
And that was always a risk.
Yeah,
And
I
now-
mean, yeah. I mean, you need to save the Canadian Football League something. Let them have. They should be the second, not the college. No, CFL is not bad. They're a little smaller. They're a little smaller than the CFL, but but a lot of good players came out of the CFL.
Yeah,
Warren Moon, Joe
sure.
Cap, a lot of good players came out of the CFL to play later in the NFL. All right, let's switch. One last topic. BTS's decision to sit out the Grammys because the Grammys are forming a new category for Asian for Asian pop, and BTS has never won a Grammy, but their feeling is that this is let the Asians compete with everyone else, right?
Yeah,
Versus have their own little category. I mean, I'm sort of mixed. How do you feel about this, Mr. Pop Culture?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't care. I think it's fine. I understand their point though, and I think it's a well-made point. But
Yeah.
but the reason that they're having an Asian is the reason they're having an Asian category the same. Does it parallel? Does the thinking parallel the reason that they started a Latin category? Okay, because the Latin thing got so big,
Yeah.
right, that they were kicking the hell out of everybody.
Well, I think that could be the case with the mainstream. I mean, that it's all Asian, just like women's golf, right? It's all Asian, and they don't know what to do. There are all these Asian female golfers. What happened to the white female golfers?
I would say, yeah. When you start seeing, that they created that Latin category, man, because it's just Latin music was taking over, right?
Yeah. And they got their own thing.
When you start having Bad Bunny, being the man, I mean, it wasn't just about Latin music, even though 95% of what he does is sung in Spanish, right? That's the way it wants to go, and white America can't stand that. I mean, remember the Super Bowl, halftime show?
Well,
it went nuts.
Is this a kind of Grammy?
Over the
Is this a kind of Grammy protectionism that put the Asians in their own place?
The number of Asian performers, and don't forget, what was the song of the year? Was the Korean thing from Demon Hunters?
Oh, Demon Hunters, yeah.
And so that one, right? And so they got real popular. Now, that means that there's two groups that reach that level of popularity. Nobody's even come close to BTS yet, but I watch a lot of those videos, right? You can get them on YouTube and stuff. And I have my favorite Korean girl groups, and there are up and coming Korean guy groups, that are trying to compete against BTS. They got to make sure they get a Filipino choreographer though.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I like the Korean girl groups actually. I can't tell them apart, but when I see them,
some of them are really good. Some are really good. They got better writers, and they have a wider variety of songs. The kind of music that they do is quite broad. So, that's so they could take over, right?
Yeah.
But I want to see Filipinos jump in there. I mean, when you go to Asia, the likelihood that you're going to see Filipino entertainers at the big hotels, right, is very high, and it's always been true. It's always been true. Okay, so
all right,
if they can't get the original Motown black people, they can always get the Filipinos, right? Right. Now they can't afford Bruno Mars.
All right, let's jump into the fast food scene. Taco Bell.
Oh boy,
they're hurting because of explosive diarrhea, and they don't know how to make explosive diarrhea into Crunchwrap Supreme, so they're trying to make up. I'm just wondering, they say 11,000 confirmed or suspected cases of cyclospora that can cause explosive diarrhea, and it's hurt Taco Bell's business. They say by about 2% impact in sales, and down 2% in the quarter compared with the year earlier. So they're trying to do something. I don't know. Can Taco Bell recover from explosive diarrhea?
Yeah,
make better food.
Well, what's the other place that makes honkified? I call it honkified Mexican food.
Hunky-fied Mexican.
Yeah, it's
Jack in the Box.
uh,
Jack.
starts with
I
a C. Uh,
see. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, it's the biggest one, and they had a problem with their food
Oh,
content.
Chipotle. Chipotle.
Chipotle, they had a hard time, and it took them about, I'd say it took them less than 2 years to recover. And
Oh yeah.
Taco Bell is bigger than that. And
Yeah.
and one of the things is Taco Bell, it's cheap, and
Yeah.
you got a lot of Latinos and a lot of Chicano Americans that bring their families to Taco Bell. Okay.
Really? They
Yeah.
go there?
Oh
I
yeah.
guess because the American prices, yeah. Well, I just know that my heart goes out to all the vegans out there who now have to really wash their vegetables. I mean, yeah, and don't believe the bag that says triple wash. You
Oh,
need
yeah.
quadruple wash.
That's fake. You wash it anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you wash it anyway. We stopped buying bagged lettuce a long time
Yeah?
ago. Yeah, but see, you can get bagged romaine. You can get bagged romaine, and it's still on the head, right?
Yeah, but Romaine has had trouble too.
Yeah, I
Taylor
know.
Farms
I
and
know.
all those.
No, we
And
we just didn't get lettuce at all, and
it's
I made a mistake. I ordered a Korean dish
yeah.
that you wrap with lettuce.
Oh yeah. Well, the lettuce is now, it's this self-shitting lettuce, that they get the E. coli and stuff.
Yeah,
It's not,
but the sad thing is that Taylor Farms took the fall early, and then it turned out to be a false report.
oh no,
But
not according to the regulators. They're still on the hook.
yeah, no, they're still on the hook. But
Yeah.
there was a false positive the first time around, but they didn't let them off the hook. They
Yeah,
were still under investigation.
yeah.
But see, the interesting thing is Taylor Farms is a California registered corporation. This is
Oh,
their
yeah,
own
yeah,
base.
yeah.
But we've had no incidences of explosive diarrhea. We get that when we listen to Trump. Okay.
Oh,
I cannot have a milkshake after listening to Trump or before. No, I got that backwards. I cannot listen to Trump and then have a milkshake, because
I
that will
see.
immediately turn into explosive diarrhea.
Explosive diarrhea.
Yeah,
What?
it's just he has logorrhea. That's
Yeah,
diarrhea.
a
of the
logorrhea.
mouth.
That's bad.
Yeah,
The
that's
logorrhea.
when fecal material comes out of his face.
Yeah. That's what people were. They were concerned. They said, in Canada when I was there, they said, "Tell me about the explosive diarrhea, Emil." Okay, okay, let me tell you about it. Hey, all right. So I'm tempted. One more. Regulators are clearing the way for robo taxis without steering wheels or even brake pedals. And we're talking about
Zooks.
offering free rides in Las Vegas, in San Francisco, and they've got no pedals, they've got no steering wheels. What do you think? Is this a good idea? I mean, I'm not sold totally on these robo taxis.
Well, they can cause problems. I'll keep it short. My problem with the Zooks is not only that there's no possible way of a human being taking over control of the thing. Okay,
Yeah.
it's also, the thing is, the exterior is at least 50% glass, even if it's plexiglass or whatever. There's not much protection there for collision protection at all.
Yeah.
And that is a greater concern for me. The fact that they have a limited geo range is okay with me. They introduced the Zooks for just downtown, and at first it was only for people who were employees of certain specific businesses and stuff, and then they were also geo range limited. Now they could go all over the place, and that's cool. But like I said, in terms of safety consideration, I think in terms of collision impact protection, That's just not enough there.
Yeah, I don't trust them. I don't even take Waymos.
Right on,
I
right
don't
on.
even take Waymos.
Oh,
So
Waymo really, they screwed up badly on the 4th of July. We
yeah.
we we were we went to a party, out of town. We were beating the crash that we knew was going to happen because people were going to try and see the fireworks show,
Mhm.
and we were coming in from the Golden Gate Bridge. We were coming in from Santa Rosa, so I had to pick a specific route that would, as soon as we got off the bridge, that would present the least possibility of traffic jams, and that's what I did, and we were able to get through all right, all the way to Haight Ashbury, and then at
Oh,
Haight Ashbury, I said, what the hell is going on? This lane has not moved for at least two signal changes. So I pulled over on the right, and guess what? It was two Waymos that was stopped trying to make a left turn, and they just stopped. They just quit right
yeah.
there.
AI is not infallible. AI is, they're only as smart as what goes in. I mean, they have all the evidence that they collect from this, all the different, sensors, but they get stuck and stymied every now and then. And then what do? Who overrides? And
Well, it was going to be likely because they were going to. Just about every Waymo car available was out there because people didn't want to drive their own cars in, right? And
yeah, oh yeah,
it was
yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, people were by about 7:30. I would say people were walking in to try to get to the marina, right?
Yeah.
From we're talking 2 miles away. They were two
Ooh.
miles away, and then some of them were looking at the hills because they're gonna have to come over Pacific Heights, right? To,
Right.
to get down the other side, and they're
Well,
going,
look,
wow.
there's always Muni, right? There's always
No, the
Muni.
munis were stuck, dude. The munis were stuck. I
They
said,
were stuck
no,
too. All
they
right.
were,
All right.
they were, and they weren't that many people on them,
All right,
because
so
they had put extra buses out
yeah.
on the street, but the buses weren't getting to where the crowds were.
Oh.
They were stuck
All right. So
that
then
far out.
call Uncle Emil. Call Uncle Emil.
No, man, no. You got to get, see, we're gonna have robo drones.
Robo. Oh,
Yeah.
Robo, do you fly?
Yeah, and you just get lifted over.
Just
Small helicopter,
hang on.
small.
Hang on like a zip
Yeah,
zip
yeah.
line.
Yeah,
Zip
man,
line.
that's an insurance nightmare right there.
All
You
right.
know, so they're gonna have to think of something to do that. I mean, it would be really cool. I like the zip line idea. That's good, but you
Yeah, zip
gotta
line. Yeah.
just
Zip
don't
line.
confuse them with anything that looks like it's got high power.
Yeah.
High electrical charge going through it.
All right, Dan. I think that's it. We filled an hour. We talked about the news and stuff. I appreciate your time. It's going to be 100 degrees out where I am all
Oh
for the
yeah,
next
man,
10
you guys got
days.
it rough.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
next 10 days.
we just came back from Fairfield, and so
Yeah.
it's nice here in the city. But
Oh yeah, foggy and yeah.
no, it's
So,
sunny right now. It's sunny.
I,
It's just a little blustery.
yeah,
There's choppy wind.
yeah.
Kind
Here we
kind
got a
of
little.
wind that's claiming people's lives out on the beach.
Here we got a little gong action. That's about it. That's about it. So
That was gone, right? Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
no gong. Hey, so Dan, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was
Yeah, and
a wonderful time,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
want to look and see how much they magnify your face again on live.
Oh yeah. Let's say I don't know. The AI does all those short things, so I don't and I don't ask them to put the most flattering shots. They say, oh, this is going to go viral. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. All right. There he goes.
Yeah.
Professor Emeritus Daniel Phil Gonzalez, College of Ethnic Studies, Asian American Studies, San Francisco State University. We talk about everything. We review the week. It's been a pretty weird week, and this Blanche thing, and then and the war. I mean, we don't even talk about it. We just say, oh, well, the war is widening. What are we doing? I don't know. I guess this is Trump's forever war. The polls are bad. The polls are very bad. How's he? I mean, the universal ballot for the Congress has the Democrats up 8, and Tallarico looks like he's going to be able to deal with Paxson, the Texas criminal running for Senate. So the Donald Trump model. I think there's some good things ahead. We didn't even get into the Democratic Socialists, but we will. We should, because there's more Democratic Socialists than we think. And is that a good thing for the Democrats to move more toward the left? And then what does it mean to the independents who want to go with the Democrats and then now have a wall of resistance? That's next week. We'll talk about that next week. All right. So that's it. Thanks for joining this program. We talk about stuff. We talk about the news. This a kind of podcast of sorts on Emil Amok 1. My YouTube channel. Subscribe, please subscribe. If you're watching this on Facebook, go to YouTube and subscribe there. But Facebook, you can watch this on Facebook on Emil Amok. My Emil Guillermo page or Emil Guillermo Media, or we pop up on Facebook. I wanted to tell my friends I miss Canada a little bit. I just a little bit. I miss the fact that their heart's in the right place. Like they really care about honoring Native peoples. They care about pronouns. They care about fighting racism. And here in America, we've got senators using the F-bomb. We got people yelling at 85-year-old, former NIH executives. I mean, it's decorum is out the window. Canada, full of decorum. It's good. Polite. They say sorry, I'm sorry. They're good. All right. I don't know where my next public appearance is going to be next, but go to Facebook, Emil Amok Live, and find out where I'll usually post something there. Or certainly I'll tell people here on the podcast. Anyway, we like to end with a little loving kindness, a little meditation. Sharon Salzberg, one of my meditative gurus, right? This is her loving kindness prayer. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time, have a great weekend. Catch the show on repeat throughout the weekend. Take your finger, move it on to the beginning. Till next time, Mahal Kita.